Hello! Oh, fantastic! You're awake! I bet you can't wait to begin your new life. Building a better future underground. Sound familiar? Not quite, thanks to Vault Tech, but it was a pretty close call there for a second. Look, I'm sure you've got lots of questions, which is why Vault Tech has provided this helpful video for whenever the sedatives wore off. Shh, it's starting. Hi, welcome to Post-Nuclear America. The world of Fallout is a harsh, irradiated wasteland, teeming with hostile, mutated creatures and murderous raiders, not to mention the myriad of sinister presences looming deep underground. Yet somehow, we willingly dive straight back into this world time and again. The Fallout franchise is one of the most successful video game franchises of all time. It's amassed such a large following that Amazon is actually making a series based on this universe. So what is it about this nightmarish radioactive wasteland that we love so much? Well, let's look at it together, shall we?
Good morning! Vault-Tech calling.
To fully understand why people adore this series, we have to get a little introspective. Every fiction is based on reality, after all. If we didn't have at least some elements with which we could relate, we wouldn't feel any sort of draw to get lost in such a hostile place. So, what could be familiar about the post-nuclear America that is Fallout? Well, for one thing, America. The good old land of the free and the home of the brave. Post-nuclear America is saturated with nostalgic imagery and memorabilia from the sweet, idealistic time of the 1940s and 50s, propaganda that we can still observe remnants of in the real world in our own daily lives. Still, many of us feel endeared to these symbols, barring all of the problematic elements which accompany them. We love the laid-back music, the A-line skirts, the guarantee that your life in America is the absolute best that it could possibly be. This truly is the greatest country, and you're damn lucky to be living in it. Unfortunately for the denizens of the wasteland, the evidence is clear. This is science. They were harvesting guinea pigs, and whomever bought their spot in Vault-Tec was often doing so out of desperation or for peace of mind. There literally were no other options. In Fallout 4, our main protagonist signed the papers for their spot mere minutes before a nuclear explosion erupted in the near visible distance. Vault-Tec couldn't have written a better advertisement if they tried. There are entire videos dedicated to detailing the psychological and physical torture which followed for those lucky enough to escape the nuclear blast and subsequent radiation. I'll link at least one of them down below so that you can learn a bit more about the Vault-Tec experiments because they are morbidly fascinating. I'll conclude this essay with what is, in my opinion, perhaps the most relatable aspect of the Fallout universe: the end of the world.
Almost there! Is Sean okay?
He's fine. We're gonna be okay. I love you. Oh my God!
Hold on! Can't this thing move faster? Oh God! Oh God!
As I mentioned in my video on The Witcher, the post-apocalyptic and dystopian genres are so popular because we're too disillusioned to the idea that utopia is possible. And so instead, the only realistic alternative is the end of life as we know it and the start of something new. A rebuilding from the ground up, a return to the simpler way of life. But if we look at the way that Fallout's apocalypse plays out, it's especially relatable because it's so sudden. It's abrupt and catches us off guard. Not only can we relate with that in the aforementioned way of formulating a means for society to rebuild, but we can also relate in a much more personal sense. There comes a time in everyone's life at which point we have to discard the idealistic perspectives of our childhood, and it often feels like a shockwave, a destructive force that just impacted our world, the world as we once knew it, and ravaged any semblance of familiarity it once held. 1950s America is the perfect allegory for this idealistic period of our lives. And for Americans raised by those who bought into its propaganda, it hits especially close to home when we come to find out that that's exactly what it all was. Propaganda. Suddenly the veil has been ripped away, and now, instead of amber waves of grain and purple mountains' majesty, there's only tainted vegetation and craters where buildings once stood tall. Even the water slowly poisons you with every sip. Echoes of that idyllic time still remain in the form of vinyl records, playing sweet static melodies through your Pip-Boy. The haunting smiles of advertisements from that broken promise of the American dream remain plastered on stubborn debris. They're often your only comfort until you find yourself in the midst of others who also managed to survive. The others who emerged from this rubble, victorious only in that they got out with their lives intact. There remain pockets of hope and seekers of justice in this peculiar place called post-nuclear America. Those who decided to stubbornly cling to the promises made to them who bought into this lie. And while they seek to build a life for themselves, they give life to that promise with every good act that they decide to do for the human beings that they come across. Those who survived and insisted on being better than their predecessors, they are the idealized America. They are that promise. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Welcome to Fallout.
Wasn't that lovely? If you aren't ready after watching that, well, you're just never going to be, are you? What was that? You'd like to see more? Well then, have I got the information for you. There's actually a handy little button, thanks to Vault-Tec, right here, that will allow you to subscribe for more. Make sure to also give this video a big thumbs up. My supervisors would really appreciate it. I would really appreciate it. And yes, good luck with your new life. All right. You're probably good to go, right? Yeah. I really have a lot to get back to. Experiments, you know. You'll be fine. I promise. That is a Vault-Tec guarantee. All right. Bye-bye now. Yeah, just out of my lab, yeah. Remember Vault Tech in the future for all of your Vault Dweller needs.